The NHL needs to figure it out and do something about the referees in last night's game. Last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs played the Edmonton Oilers and were fortunate to come out with a 4-3 win in what was probably one of the worst officiated games I've seen in a while, which is saying a lot because the refs in this league are a consistent joke and very inconsistent. Now I know, typical Leafs fan complaining about the refs. I honestly do not do this often. Last night was just something that I could not ignore. And we came out with the win. It's not like I'm blaming a loss on the refs. This is something that the Leafs had to overcome, which was a blatant bias for the Edmonton Oilers. We've seen bad calls already in this season for the past 9 games, for and against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Very weak calls already this year, but never to the extent that we saw last night. The Toronto Maple Leafs were dominating the game and had a firm 2-0 lead until the refs decided to step into that game and change the fate for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, you can look at the box sheet after the game and go, oh, the penalties were only 7-4. It was pretty even. The refs did their job. They didn't pick up bias. But that is complete, I'm not going to say it, but that is so wrong. The Edmonton Oilers had, I think, like 5 straight power plays in that game. And it only took some retribution calls at the end, which granted, they were bad calls on Edmonton too, but it came so far after they had already changed the momentum of last night's game that it had no effect on the game whatsoever. You cannot tell me that the refs in the league are not aware that Toronto is a top 3 power play in this league and that the Edmonton power play is struggling, and that they think that it's okay to call extra penalties on the Leafs because Edmonton isn't guaranteed to score. However, if they call a penalty on Edmonton with as lethal a power play as we have, they know that it could go in the net and they don't want to impact the game that way. But it took the Leafs going up 2-0 in this game for them to decide that they were going to call an abundance of terrible calls. Those 2 slashes on Kerfoot, not slashes whatsoever. I get his stick touched their hands, and they want to be super sensitive to players' hands because we've seen a lot of broken fingers in the past. But there was no slashing motion on either of those calls, extremely weak. And it's like, you're allowed to slash in the NHL as long as it's to the legs or to the face or ribs. Anything that isn't the hands won't get called. But because Kerfoot's stick got remotely close to the guy's hands, it was a call. It's an absolute joke. It's ridiculous. And wouldn't you know it, they get a 5-on-3 and score. And when you got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, I don't care how bad that power play is going, they're going to score eventually. Now, granted, some of the penalties were absolutely our fault. A couple of trips, those are blatant, even though the one on Nylander at the end of the game usually doesn't get called because refs don't like calling penalties in the last 5 minutes of the third period anyway because they don't want to impact the score of the game. But the Leafs were up 4-3, so we might as well call the penalty and give Edmonton a chance to tie it up. But no. It was a penalty. Nylander tripped him, and Spezza had a trip, and Kerfoot had a trip. Those are penalties you have to call because they're blatant. But the 2 slashes and that interference on Hall, I mean, come on. That is so weak. That is the refs looking and trying to search out an opportunity to give a penalty to the Leafs and give Edmonton an opportunity on the power play. Now, you can give the Leafs all the flack you want, and as a coaching staff, of course, you're going to tell that team that you need to stay out of the box. 7 penalties is not acceptable for a team that's looking to win in this league, but I mean, at some point, what are the Leafs supposed to do? We've been excellent on the penalty kill. We were lucky to be able to get out of this game, going only 2 goals against on 7 opportunities for Edmonton, but it was so tough to watch, penalty after penalty, and the Leafs finally get their opportunities at the end, but they didn't come until late in the game when all the momentum is shot because of all the penalties called against them. Ray and Gord said it on the broadcast that it doesn't seem to matter if Austin Matthews is taking 4 or 5 cross checks to the back in front of the net as long as someone's stick doesn't go up near someone's hands. That's a given call, except we never seem to get that penalty called in favor of the Leafs. Austin Matthews missed a game this season with an upper body injury and has not looked the same since, even though he's potted a couple goals. He hasn't looked the same, and I can guarantee that it is a back issue that he's always had in his career. I'm pretty sure he's had surgery on his back before, but that is something that he definitely tweaked from getting those cross checks early on in this season, and there was no call on that. And it was the talk of the town that how is that not a penalty call? But Alex Kerfoot gets 2 slashing penalties because his stick gets close to someone's hand. I know that we need to protect the players and that people have been breaking hands from slashes, but Kerfoot didn't even slash them. There wasn't even a slashing motion, and that's called. It's a complete joke. It's so inconsistent. Morgan Rielly, I'm still not over this. In the first game against Montreal, in overtime, high stick, bleeding, Philip Deneau goes on a breakaway, and the refs didn't want to call it because they knew if they gave a 4-minute double minor to the Toronto Maple Leafs in overtime, game's over. They completely chose the final score. But that is a call you need to make. Instead, Philip Deneau goes on a breakaway. He screws up. That's his own fault, but he could have ended the game for them. Leafs would have been down 0-1 to start the season. Fortunately, Morgan Rielly comes out with a bloody nose and scores in overtime to win it. But man, the refs seem to pick and choose what they want to call, and it's so inconsistent, it is disgusting to watch. So like I said, I was very upset with last night's game. It looked like they were trying to get Edmonton back into a game that they had no business being in. They succeeded making it 2-2. The third goal, not a power play goal, not on the refs. That's Leafs bad coverage. And even on the power play, 5-on-3, what are you going to do? But the Leafs need to find reasons to be able to dig in and find wins in these games, which they did, which is a huge improvement on years past. The fact that the Leafs won this game is such a sigh of relief because it shows that they can battle adversity. But the league needs to figure something out with these referees and get some consistency amongst all the games in this league. Now that I'm done a little bit of my rant, the Leafs are wearing these reverse retros this Saturday. It's the first time they'll be debuting. I know that a lot of people don't like the jersey. I'm just going to give my thoughts on it really quick. I really like it. It looks a lot better in person, and I'm sure once you see the Leafs in full uniform on the ice, you'll like it a little bit more too if you were one of the haters. No, it's not the best jersey that they've ever come out with. Definitely wish that it was white sleeves, white logo, white numbering. But given the fact that they went with the gray, it's not as bad as it looked on that model. The NHL's release, they chose a model that was wearing a jersey probably like 3 times too big. So it looked terrible. It looked like the logo was massive. That's not the case in real life. You'll see them on Saturday. Give your honest opinion, whether you like them or not. It's definitely not the Leafs' best work though, but I had to get it anyway. So thank you very much for listening to this rant. There's so much more that I want to say, but my mind's just spiraling. It has been since last night, and I'm thankful that I didn't make this video last night because I was so angry that, you didn't want to hear me. But I appreciate you all clicking on this video and watching. Please let me know your thoughts on the referees this year and any insights that you've seen. Click like and subscribe. Leafs play Edmonton again in, I guess, tomorrow. So hopefully we can come out with another win there. And the Leafs are 7-2. Nothing to be upset about. Leafs are first place in the NHL, so hopefully we can keep this going. Thanks for watching.